Hello, team, and welcome to episode 14 of Creative English 1, 2, 3, 14. Today, we will be mastering our numbers so that you don't make a mistake. While we have been seeing numbers since we were young, some people have no problem with it. Some people are kind of traumatized by math class. It's something that we can't make a mistake with. And we're going to be seeing a couple of details about numbers to make sure that you don't make a silly but costly mistake. So let's see what we've got. And Mr. Kinsela, this one's for you. I remember when my teachers would say, you won't have a calculator in your pocket. Well, I have one of these. Yes, I do. So it is true for a lot of our math problems in life. We can use our phone, but sometimes we need to talk about something related to numbers. And for that, our cell phone is not the best option. So let's see what I've got for you. Number one, little warm-up content about grocery prices. Here in Brazil, I know I've been feeling it at the grocery store, but maybe for some people, maybe it's more with the gas prices. For other people, it might be more about going to restaurants, but we've been suffering a little bit of inflation. So how about you? Where have you been noticing the biggest rise in prices? For me, it was when I went to the supermarket on Monday and I bought eggs. We eat a lot of eggs and started off 60 eggs, boof, 60 high, doof. And so that's where I've been starting to feel it. And there's some numbers in the video. Can you say them? Our grammar point today, 10 details about numbers. Starting, let me see, make my screen like this. All right. Pronunciation of teen and T. This can be a problem both with the speaking and with the listening. You do not want to be understood incorrectly, and you do not want to understand incorrectly what somebody says. I heard a story this week, and the person was in Europe. They were at a restaurant. They asked the price. They said, 50. 15, all right, give me 3. And then when the bill came, it was 150 euros instead of 45 euros. Big difference. So 13, 14, 15, 16, they're a little bit longer than 30, 40, 50, 60. Sounds a little quicker. So if you can use this to help you. And if you're in doubt, I would say that's a good time to ask because you don't want to make a mistake. You might be happy buying something for $15. You might not be as happy buying it for $50. Number 2, this can have serious consequences. In Portuguese and in many countries, we use a comma, but in English, we use a point for our decimals. So I tested this out with my student. I just wrote this right here. 1.000, and I asked them, what number was it? Every single person said 1,000, but in the US and England and many other countries and China as well, one thing that I guess China and the US agree on is that is just the number 1, while we use commas to separate the larger number by 3 and 3 digits. So be aware of where you are because this can be a costly mistake. Number 3, cardinal and ordinal numbers. So if you are Brazilian, I can almost guarantee that if the number gets large, you cannot say the ordinal version of it. In English, it's really simple. So let's take a number, 431. To turn it into an ordinal number, I just take the last digit, in this case 1, 431st. Pick another one, let me see, 522. That's the cardinal version. To turn it into an ordinal number, 522nd. So there's no real secret. If you know the cardinal number, you know the ordinal number. And where do I usually hear this mistake is with dates. So for example, here it is April 11th. But I will often hear my students say 11 of April. Not grammatically wrong, but it is awkward. So remember, for dates, even though you don't need to write it, you do need to say it. And actually, I just referenced one of the 3 exceptions that we have in, I guess you can say all the teens are, but specifically 11th, 12th, and 13th are different than 21st, 32nd, 43rd. So those three are a little bit different, but those are the big exceptions, and they're not that big. I included some extra number vocabulary here on the right. And next up, it's about speech patterns. You do not need to say this, but you need to be aware that people talk like this, which is to say O instead of 0. James Bond, 007, he does not say my name is 007, because it's a lot more awkward to say 05 than it is to say 05, 06, 07 quickly. So you will hear people saying O instead of 0. You do not have to do this, but you need to know that people might say it, so you don't get lost when hearing it. Also, quick recommendation, when you are giving a number, whether you are checking into a hotel and they ask you for a telephone number, or in general, when you are just giving numbers to other people, I recommend doing it 2 by 2. If I say 3478 218, person kind of, wait, go back. But if you say 33, 45, 61, 82, it's more accessible for our brains. If it's an odd number, you can say 3, 45. I think it works well too. Number 5, large numbers and grouping. You know, here we're in class about numbers. I don't think it's a big problem, but if I catch my students by surprise, they often mix up 100 and 1,000. And imagine a doctor who was going to give somebody 100 milliliters of something and they give them 1,000, that person's dead. So you can't mix up 100 and 1,000. And the bigger ones, you know, millions, billions, they're pretty similar in English and Portuguese at least, so I don't see any problems. But how about these bigger ones, like 100,000? And I think this is a detail that is somebody asked me about. You can say 100, you can say 100, but it needs to be the start of the number. So for example, if I had 100,100, I could say 100,100, but I couldn't say 100,100. So it would always start when you're starting the number, you can say or 1, it's not a problem. And as a bonus, what number is 2,200? Again, you do not need to speak like this, but you need to be aware that some native speakers talk like this. I think it's because of the dates, but 2,200 is 2,200. So with numbers that end with 2 zeros, 2,200, 5,300, 8,600, it is common to hear, and my guess is that it comes from the dates, the 1900s, the 1800s. Number 6, math vocabulary in English. While there are others, I think these are the basic ones that you need to know. 2 plus 2, 2 minus 2, 2 times 2, 2 divided by 2, 2 equals 2. If you know those ones, I think those are the ones that need to be automatic. If you need something more specific, you can do a little research. Number 7, I have noticed that people who studied English in English schools, they end up saying 3:30, 7:15. It's really a non-native thing. Non-natives and like 80-year-olds, because I don't think there's any advantage to saying 3:30 over 3:30. And I love the Brazilian way of saying it, 3.5, but we can't say this in English. 3.5 doesn't exist, even though it makes a lot of sense. So 7:15, 6:45. Does anybody disagree that 6:45 is much easier than 7:15? So know this, if you want to use what we call military time in the United States, 13, 14, 15, go ahead. And if it's obvious, I'm talking about when I wake up. I say, wake up at 5. I don't really need to emphasize 5 a.m. unless you're like a nighttime security guard. Then you might say, I wake up at 5 p.m. But if maybe you have a meeting at 8, it might be worth specifying whether it's 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. or like a flight. So context. Is it necessary to say a.m. or p.m.? And it's one of those things that I think people who use this system do it kind of automatically. People who don't have never had that experience, so they might prefer to say the a.m. p.m. Number 8, fractions and decimals. Just make sure you know how to say this. So, for example, this number right here, I say half, but I often hear people saying 1/2. And this is relevant. I'm going to skip this point quickly, but this is relevant because when you have, for example, 1 and 5/6. Yeah, it's great to spit sixths. That or summon a snake from Harry Potter. You need that and here to say it's 1 plus this number. And if I just say 1 half, I'm talking about half. So I just avoid saying 1. Half is fine. With fractions, you will say the first number as a cardinal number, 5, and the second one as an ordinal number together with an S at the end. Horrible for pronunciation. I know. I didn't make it up. And for decimals, remember, we're using point instead of comma. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.451, 0.451. As long as you say the number before and the point, the rest of the digits you can say however you are most comfortable with. Number 9, imperial system and metric system. If you know how to convert feet into meters and pounds into kilos, God bless. I do not. For me, that's what cell phones are for. But be aware that if you go to the United States and you say that you're 1 meter and 80 centimeters tall, they have no idea whether you're a giant or a dwarf. They have no idea. So be aware that the same way that we don't understand the imperial system, countries with the imperial system, which I think is just the US, don't understand the metric system unless they were in the military. So, or maybe scientists. So just be aware of this change. And I think that's a good use for your cell phone. Okay. I'm not going to do a class about that. Number 10, some common expressions with numbers. And some of them are the same in English and Portuguese. 1 in a million, something amazing, special, rare. 6th sense, that super intuition. I don't know if the movie came first or the expression. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Pick 2 of an animal, pick your weapon, and it will be understood. Here we like to say kill 2 snakes with 1 stick. I've heard kill 2 rabbits with 1 stone, kill 2 rabbits with 1 stick. You know, kill 2 something with a shotgun. Go nuts. It will make sense. So I think it's a great expression to guarantee communication. Some expressions, though, are more unique to English, like a dime a dozen. A dime a dozen back when eggs were 10 cents for 12 eggs. A dime references that 10 cents, it's a coin. Sometimes we'll hear dime in place of 10. Same way that dozen represents 12. Something that's a dime a dozen. Influencers, they're a dime a dozen these days, all over the place. So something very common. And last up, your official expression of the week is bottom of the 9th. And in soccer terminology, we would say 45 or 46 in the second half, and it means at the last minute. It's your last chance. So in baseball, bottom of the 9th is your last chance to score a point. If not, you're going home. So it's a baseball version of our soccer expression. Some exercises here. I want you to say the following numbers out loud. I don't know if I should give you the answers. No, I won't. You figure it out. Yes, I will. I'll give you the answer just to be nice. So today's complete date. Today is April 11th, 2025 or 2025. Both would be acceptable. My birthday is October 2nd. If you want to send me a present. The time, it is currently 12:25 p.m. in the afternoon. The temperature, I don't know. Let me check. It is 27 degrees. That's what I was looking for. 27 degrees Celsius. This one, we have 2 options. You can say 3/4 or 3/4. 1 7/8. 1.618 pi. Delicious, but without the E in terms of the spelling. 100,100. Sometimes I'll hear people saying 100,000 and 100. That is fine. And the big one, 1,234,567,890. The last one. Extra credit, when do I call this point? When do I call it period? When do I call it dot? I've explained it at the bottom, but I will already answer this now. Point is for numbers. Period would be the grammatical term, often in an argument. I am not going out, period. And dot would be anything related to technology, like .com. Our talking point this week was about resorts. I rarely get to do anything cool. So when I do, I like to bring it to class. We went to an awesome resort in Costa do Sauípe in Bahia. It was awesome. We had a great time, and I was surprised that we were able to organize a trip with that many people and no fights, not even an argument. Some amazing stories that I cannot share here. But these are some talking points that you can use. I've changed it up. I don't know if you guys have noticed. I'm kind of removing the way that I used to do with 2 exact questions each week, and I'm kind of spacing them out. So here we have both points you can talk about and in question format. And last up, a game. Biz, buzz, bang. Congratulations to our champions this week, Mr. Arnaldo and Mr. Jonathan. They were able to reach 34. But this is a good game for you to practice your numbers, and you can modify the rules. For example, in this case, if there's 3 people, I can't play with the number 3. The way it works is you start counting. And so, imagine we have different people. First person goes 1, next person 2, the next person says biz, then 4, 5, biz, buzz, 8, biz. And multiples of 3, we say biz. Multiples of 7, we say buzz. And multiples of both 3 and 7, we'd say bang. And you can change the numbers. Does not need to be 3 and 7. We used to play that numbers ending with these as well. So 23 and 27, for example. But you can modify the rules however you would like. And for example, if you think the cardinal numbers are easy, try it with the ordinal numbers. It's a great way to practice. And that's what I've got for you. For my students who took their test, the finale of Coconut Bay. So I will not spoil the murderer, but this is the ending of last week's story. So find out who Detective Elena discovered was the murderer. Team, thank you. That's it. And like always, I hope to see you in class. Have a good one.